He thought she was just another homeless child until she called him Dad in front of a crowd. What he discovered next shattered everything he believed about his past. New York City never truly sleeps. Its streets stay lit with ambition, noise, and dreams, some fulfilled, some forgotten. On this cold December evening, luxury sedans lined the pavement and laughter spilled from high-end restaurants. From one of them emerged Daniel Hart, a man whose name meant something in this city. A self-made millionaire and owner of 5 award-winning restaurants, his sharp suit and colder eyes said it all. This was a man used to getting what he wanted. As Daniel stepped onto the wet sidewalk, a gust of wind swept past him, carrying with it the faint rustle of a cardboard sign. He didn't notice it at first. Just another kid on the corner. Bare feet, torn hoodie, a pair of too big eyes looking up at the world like it owed her something. Or maybe nothing. She held a sign with shaky hands. Hungry. Anything helps. Daniel glanced at her. Just once. That was enough for most people. She didn't flinch or beg. She just looked. He stepped toward his car, opened the door, and as he lowered himself into the seat, he heard it. Wait. Dad. His hand froze on the door. His eyes widened. He turned around slowly, the sound of her voice still trembling in the air like the last note of a sad song. Her lips quivered. She looked scared to have said it. He looked terrified to believe it. And then the door shut. That night, the city's lights couldn't keep the shadows out of Daniel's penthouse. He sat in silence, drink in hand, the girl's voice playing on loop inside his head. Dad. That single word, spoken with hesitation, with hope cut deeper than any insult ever could. He tried to forget, but memory is a cruel thing. A face floated into his mind. Lila. A summer romance turned memory. Carefree days in Vermont. Her laughter in the rain. The letter she left behind. I'll never ask you for anything. Just know, she'll exist. He had read those words a decade ago. He hadn't believed them. He'd told himself she was bluffing. He had never checked. Daniel had hired detectives to find cheating partners, hidden assets, even enemies, but this was different. He didn't want revenge. He wanted a second chance. 4 days, he scoured soup kitchens, shelters, underpasses. He asked around, showed her drawing to volunteers. They all shook their heads until one night, behind a soup kitchen in Queens, he saw her. Curled up in a sleeping bag, clutching a broken Barbie doll. He knelt beside her, heart pounding. Her eyes fluttered open. She blinked at him, confused, then cautious, then sad. Why did you leave Mommy? She whispered. She died last winter. They sat together on a park bench as the city buzzed around them. She reached into her tattered backpack and pulled out an old photo. Faded and bent at the edges. It was him. Younger. Smiling. Arm around Lila's waist. Her belly round with the life they'd made. He stared at it. His hands trembled. His throat tightened. He took her to a nearby diner. Not one of his fancy ones. Just a small corner booth with plastic menus and warm soup. She sat across from him, legs swinging from the seat, spoon stirring the broth without eating it. She wasn't angry. Just tired. Tired of pretending she didn't notice the way people stared. Tired of pretending she didn't wonder who her father was. Tired of pretending someone didn't exist. He offered to take her in. To give her everything. A home. A future. She looked at him for a long time before answering. I don't need everything. I just need you to stay. 2 days later, Daniel stood outside one of his finest restaurants. The glass windows reflected the life he had built, polished, proud, perfect. But today, it felt different. Today, he wasn't here to show off success. He was here to rewrite a part of his story. Beside him stood the little girl, her tiny hand wrapped tightly around his. She wore a clean coat now, her hair brushed neatly to the side. But her eyes, they were still cautious, still watching the world as if it might break her again. He took a breath, then pushed open the door. The restaurant fell silent as they stepped inside. Waiters paused mid-step. The maître d' looked confused. Customers turned their heads. Daniel cleared his throat. His voice cracked slightly as he spoke. "This is my daughter." There was a pause. Then gasps. Murmurs. A waitress dropped a glass. Someone whispered, "That's his kid." The girl's grip tightened. She moved closer to him, half hiding behind his leg. Daniel bent slightly, giving her a reassuring smile. Then he stood tall, placing a gentle hand on her back. There was no more hiding. No more running. Not from her. Not from the past. He had been many things: a tycoon, a boss, a millionaire. But today, for the first time, he was simply a father. The days that followed were quiet, but filled with meaning. Daniel stood in a once empty room of his penthouse, now slowly transforming into something warmer. He rolled out a pink rug, hung star-shaped fairy lights by the window, and placed a stuffed bear on the bed. He didn't know what little girls liked, so he guessed. And hoped. Later, he stood behind her in the mirror, awkwardly brushing her hair. She giggled as he tugged too hard. He smiled, a little embarrassed. She looked at him, not with fear this time, but with something gentler. Trust, maybe. Or the beginning of it. That night, he read her a bedtime story. She curled up beneath a blanket that still smelled like laundry detergent. As he closed the book, she looked up at him with sleepy eyes. "You missed my first steps," she whispered softly. "My first words." He felt the sting of guilt, but before he could respond, she smiled and added, "But you won't miss tomorrow, right?" He blinked back the ache in his chest. "Never again." She nodded, already drifting off. Just before her eyes closed, she mumbled one last thing. "Good night, Dad." The lights dimmed. And for the first time in years, Daniel didn't feel powerful, or rich, or important. He just felt whole.